My dad said no handouts before our family vacation, then drained my account. I made him regret it. No handouts. My father said, his voice firm as he explained our family vacation. Everyone pays their fair share. $2,400 per person. I transferred the money immediately. The next day I discovered he had actually charged me $9,400. He had drained my savings account with a single lie. You won't believe what I did next. But before we continue, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. This story is about to get intense. My name is Claire Anderson, and I'm 29 years old. I work as a logistics coordinator for a pharmaceutical distribution company in Austin, Texas. The kind of job that sounds impressive, but mostly means late nights reviewing spreadsheets and early mornings managing supply chain crises. I had just finished reviewing quarterly projections on a Wednesday night, nearly midnight, when my phone buzzed with a text from my father. Family meeting this Saturday. Important. Be there at 2. I sighed and set the phone face down. Family meetings meant one of two things. Someone needed money, or someone wanted to complain about not having enough money. Given that my father, Robert, had retired early from his sales job 3 years ago and spent most of his time golfing with his buddies, I suspected it was the former. Saturday arrived with the oppressive heat that made Austin summers legendary. I drove across town to the house where I grew up, a modest ranch-style home in a neighborhood that had seen better days. My father sat in his leather recliner, the one that had molded itself to his shape over the years. My stepmother, Diana, perched on the sofa beside him, scrolling through her phone with manicured nails that clicked against the screen. She had married my father 5 years ago, shortly after my mother's death. I had never quite warmed to her, and the feeling was mutual. Claire, my father said, gesturing to the empty chair. Sit. We have exciting news. I sat already feeling the familiar weight of obligation settling on my shoulders. We're planning a family vacation, Diana announced, her voice bright with forced enthusiasm. Mexico, all-inclusive resort. 10 days. That sounds nice, I said carefully, waiting for the other shoe to drop. We want you to come with us, my father continued. It'll be good for the family to spend time together, quality time. When 3 weeks from now, we found an incredible deal, but we need to book immediately. I thought about my work schedule, the project deadlines, the meetings I couldn't miss. I don't know if I can take that much time off on such short notice. My father's expression hardened slightly. You work too much anyway. This is family. Family comes first. Besides, Diana added, you haven't taken a real vacation in years. You need this. How much I asked. My father leaned back in his recliner. Here's the thing. I believe in fairness, no handouts. Everyone pays their own way. $2,400 per person. I did the quick math. That seemed reasonable for an all-inclusive resort. Not cheap, but manageable. I can do that. Good. My father pulled out his phone. I'll send you the payment link now. We need to book tonight to lock in this rate. The payment portal loaded on my phone. I scanned the details quickly. Mexico resort. 10 days. All-inclusive. I entered my banking information and authorized the payment. $2,400. A significant chunk of my savings, but worth it if it meant actually connecting with my father for once. Done, I said. Perfect. My father smiled. This is going to be great. You'll see. I should have known something was wrong. The smile was too satisfied, too smug, but I wanted to believe this was real, that he actually wanted to spend time with me. The next morning, I woke to dozens of notifications on my phone. Banking alerts, overdraft warnings, transaction confirmations. My stomach dropped as I opened my banking app. My checking account showed a pending transaction of $9,400. Not $2,400, $9,400. I stared at the screen, certain there had been some mistake, some technical error, some glitch in the system. But the payment portal I had used was right there in my transaction history. And when I clicked on it, I saw the truth written in small print at the bottom of the page. Total per person, $9,400. Includes resort fees, activity packages, premium dining options, and travel insurance. My hands shook as I scrolled back through the conversation with my father. $2,400 per person, he had said. Everyone pays their fair share. No handouts. But the actual cost was $9,400. He had deliberately mispronounced it, misrepresented it, lied about it. And I had authorized the payment without reading the fine print. I called him immediately, my voice shaking with rage and disbelief. "There's been a mistake," I said when he answered. "The payment was supposed to be $2,400. My account shows $9,400. He was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, that. Yeah, the resort ended up being less expensive than I thought. Well, lucky us, right? More money for activities and excursions. The casual lie was somehow worse than the theft itself. You told me to pay my share. You said $2,400 per person. I said the trip was $9,400 per person." He corrected, his tone shifting to something patronizing. "You must have misunderstood. But hey, this works out great. You're always saying you want to do more for the family. Now you can treat us to this vacation. Think of it as a thank you for everything we've done for you over the years. Everything they had done for me." I wanted to scream. I wanted to list every time I had lent him money that was never repaid, every birthday he had forgotten, every promise he had broken. Instead, I heard myself say, "I want that money back." "What money? You authorized the payment, Claire. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to be generous. Don't make this ugly now by asking for it back. That's not how family works. You lied to me. I didn't lie about anything. You made assumptions. Not my fault if you didn't read carefully." His voice hardened. "Look, we're going on this trip. It's already booked, non-refundable. So you can either come with us and we'll have a nice time, or you can stay home and pout about it. Your choice." He hung up before I could respond. I sat frozen on my couch phone, still pressed to my ear, listening to the dead silence on the other end. My entire body felt numb, disconnected from reality. This could not be happening. My father could not have just stolen $7,000 from me with such casual cruelty. But he had, and somehow he had made it seem like I was the unreasonable one for being upset about it. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching shadows shift as car headlights swept past my window. My mind kept replaying the conversation, searching for the moment where I could have prevented this. The warning sign I should have seen. They had all been there, glaring in retrospect. The emphasis on equal payment, the pointed comment about no handouts, the urgency to book immediately. They had played me perfectly, and I'd walked right into it. By Tuesday morning, I felt hollowed out, operating on autopilot as I went through my work routine. My colleague Morgan noticed immediately when I arrived at the office. "You look terrible," she said bluntly, setting a fresh cup of coffee on my desk. What happened? Morgan was one of the few people at work I considered a real friend. She was 3 years older than me, with a directness I appreciated and a built-in radar for detecting problems. I told her everything. Watching her expression shift from concern to disbelief to outright anger. "He stole from you," she said flatly when I finished. "I don't care how he framed it or what justifications he gave. He deliberately deceived you and took your money." "He's my father," I said weakly. "So what?" "That makes it worse, not better." She leaned against my desk, arms crossed. "What are you going to do about it?" "What can I do?" "The payment went through. The trip is booked. He made it clear he's not giving the money back. Can you cancel the payment through your bank?" I had already checked. The transaction was authorized by me. The bank won't reverse it unless I file a fraud claim. And I don't know if I can do that against my own father. "Why not?" he committed fraud. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache building behind my eyes. Because he's family. Because it would blow everything up. Because part of me keeps thinking maybe I did misunderstand somehow, even though I know I didn't. Morgan was quiet for a moment, studying me with an expression I could not quite read. You know what the worst part of this is? It's not even about the money, is it? It's about the fact that he knew exactly what he was doing. He looked at you, his daughter, and saw someone he could manipulate, someone he could use. Her words hit harder than I expected, and I felt my eyes sting with tears I refused to let fall. She was right. The money was devastating, yes, but the betrayal cut deeper. My father had calculated my guilt, my sense of obligation, my desperate desire to believe in the possibility of a real family connection. And he had weaponized all of it against me. I need to cancel that trip, I said, suddenly the decision crystallizing in my mind. I need to get my money back somehow. Morgan's eyebrows shot up. Can you do that? I don't know. But I'm going to find out. I spent my lunch break researching travel booking policies, cancellation procedures, consumer protection laws. The resort booking was non-refundable, but there might be ways around that. Travel insurance claims, medical emergencies, credit card disputes. I called the resort, directly speaking to 3 different managers before finally reaching someone with authority. I need to cancel a booking, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm sorry, but your reservation is non-refundable. According to our records, you were informed of this policy at the time of booking. What if there's a medical emergency? Do you have documentation from a physician? I could get it. Then we can review your case for a possible credit toward a future stay. But no cash refunds are available. I hung up, frustrated but not defeated. Next, I called my credit card company, the one I had linked to the payment portal. I'd like to dispute a charge. What's the nature of the dispute? Fraud. The merchant misrepresented the amount of the charge. I explained the situation to the representative, who listened patiently. Ma'am, the charge appears to have been authorized by you. Do you have evidence that the amount was misrepresented? I have text messages where the amount was stated as $2,400. But the actual charge was $9,400. That could constitute fraud. I'm opening a case for you now. You'll need to submit all documentation, including the text messages, any promotional materials, and a written statement explaining the discrepancy. How long will this take? The investigation typically takes 30 to 45 days. During that time, the charge will be reversed, pending the outcome. I felt the first glimmer of hope. What happens to the booking? That's between you and the merchant. Once we reverse the charge, they may cancel the reservation. Perfect. I hung up and immediately filed the dispute, attaching screenshots of my text conversation with my father, the payment portal, everything I had. Then I did something I had never done before. I blocked my father's number, Diana's number. Everyone who would try to guilt me or manipulate me into backing down. The credit card company reversed the charge within 3 business days. $9,400 returned to my account, and the resort, as expected, immediately canceled the entire booking. Not just mine, all of it. My father's reservation, Diana's reservation, the whole trip, gone. I found out later through a cousin who still spoke to him that he had called the resort in a rage, demanding they reinstate the booking, threatening to sue and making a scene. But the resort was firm. The payment had been disputed and reversed. The reservation was canceled. If he wanted to rebook, he would need to pay again. And of course he didn't have the money. He had been counting on my payment to cover his portion and Diana's. The vacation he had so carefully orchestrated, the one he had stolen from me to fund, vanished completely. My phone started ringing from unknown numbers. Family members I barely knew calling to tell me I was selfish, ungrateful, that I had ruined everything. I didn't answer. I let them all go to voicemail. Then I listened to each message once and deleted it. My Aunt Lauren left the longest one, her voice dripping with disappointment. Your father worked so hard to plan this trip for the family, and you destroyed it out of spite. Over money. Money you apparently have plenty of since you could afford to throw away a vacation. You should be ashamed of yourself. I saved that one, not out of guilt, but as a reminder. A reminder that some people will always blame the victim rather than the perpetrator. That family loyalty for some meant enabling bad behavior rather than calling it out. Morgan took me out for drinks that Friday. How do you feel? She asked as we settled into a booth at our favorite bar. Honestly, lighter. She raised her glass. To cutting off toxic people, even when they're family. Especially when they're family, I corrected. We clinked glasses. Over the next few weeks, I focused on rebuilding what I had almost lost. My savings account slowly recovered. My stress levels decreased noticeably. I slept better, worked better, felt better. I started saying no to things I didn't want to do, to people who drained my energy, to obligations that existed only out of guilt rather than genuine desire. I took a pottery class on Thursday evenings. I had always wanted to try it but never had the time. Or rather, I had always given my time to other people instead. I started reading again. Real books. Not just work emails and quarterly reports. I went on actual dates with people I met through friends. Not many. Not seriously. But I allowed myself to be open to the possibility of connection with people who valued me. My apartment, which had always felt temporary and sparse, started to feel like home. I bought plants. Real art from local artists. A comfortable reading chair. Small things that made the space mine. 3 months after the canceled vacation, I received a letter in the mail. My father's handwriting on the envelope. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won out. Claire, it began. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I just want you to know that I understand now. I understand what I did was wrong. I understand why you did what you did. I understand that I destroyed our relationship through my own selfishness. I'm working with a financial counselor now trying to get my life together. I'm not asking you to forgive me or to let me back into your life. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better, that you were right to hold me accountable. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for being the kind of father who made you feel like you had to choose between self-respect and family. You deserved better. You always deserved better. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. You don't need to respond to this. I just needed to say it. I read the letter in my car during lunch break, sitting in my designated parking spot with my new title on the sign. Senior Logistics Coordinator. A promotion I had earned through the tracking system overhaul I had spearheaded. 20% salary increase. More responsibility. More respect. The apology felt real this time, unencumbered by justifications or requests, but it also felt like it came too late, after I had already done the work of moving on without it. I took a picture of the letter, filed it away with the others, and threw the original in a public trash can on my way back into the office. Maybe someday I would be ready to have some kind of relationship with my father again. But today was not that day. And tomorrow probably would not be either. And that was okay. I had built a life I was proud of. I had friends who valued me, work that challenged me, hobbies that fulfilled me. I had learned to recognize manipulation and to walk away from it without guilt. I had learned that setting boundaries was not selfish, that protecting myself was not cruel, that choosing my own well-being over someone else's comfort was not only acceptable, but necessary. My father had taught me one final valuable lesson, though not the one he intended, that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop loving people who hurt you, not with anger or bitterness, but with the simple recognition that you deserve better than what they are capable of giving. That evening, I went to my pottery class and successfully centered a piece of clay for the first time. It was not perfect. It wobbled slightly, and the walls were uneven, but it held. It maintained its shape. It became something functional and real, much like me. In the months that followed, my father's life unraveled in ways that had nothing to do with me, but everything to do with the patterns I had finally stopped enabling. His part-time job at a hardware store ended when he was caught falsifying his time card, claiming hours he had not worked. The apartment he rented raised their rates, and he struggled to pay the increase on his reduced income. His credit remained damaged, making it nearly impossible to secure loans or new credit cards. Friends who had once admired his early retirement began to distance themselves as the reality of his financial situation became apparent. He tried to reconnect with Diana, who had already filed for separation, and made it clear she had moved on with her life. The small social circle he had built in retirement gradually shrank as people tired of his constant complaints and requests for financial help. He became, in essence, what he had always feared, alone and struggling with no one willing to bail him out because he had exhausted everyone's goodwill through years of manipulation and broken promises. I heard these updates through my cousin occasionally, but they felt distant, like news about a stranger, because in a very real sense, that's what he had become, a stranger who used to be my father. 6 months after everything started, I received a call from Aunt Lauren, the one who had left that scathing voicemail. She had gotten my new number somehow. "Claire, I wanted to apologize. I've been talking to Diana. She told me what really happened with that vacation. I had only heard your father's version, and I believed him. I said terrible things to you, and I'm sorry. You were right to do what you did. He's my brother, and I love him. But he was wrong. You didn't deserve to be treated that way." The apology caught me off guard. "Thank you for saying that. I mean it. And I want you to know that I'm here if you ever want to talk, or if you need anything. Not because of family obligation, but because you deserve people in your corner." I appreciated the sentiment more than I could express. 1 year after the canceled vacation, I stood in front of a room full of colleagues, presenting the results of my tracking system rollout. The project had been a massive success, implemented across 12 regional facilities, saving the company millions in efficiency improvements. My supervisor stood at the back of the room, beaming with pride. After the presentation, she pulled me aside. "Corporate wants to talk to you about a director-level position. It would mean relocating to our headquarters in Chicago. Significant salary increase, full benefits package, company car. Are you interested?" I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Yes, absolutely yes, because that was who I had become. Someone who said yes to opportunities, someone who prioritized her own growth and success, someone who understood that she deserved good things. I moved to Chicago 3 months later, into a beautiful apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. I decorated it with care, real furniture, art I loved, plants that thrived. It felt like home from day one. My father sent one more letter to my new address. I don't know how he got it. I read it once, acknowledged the continued apologies, and filed it away. We had exchanged a few brief emails over the past year, cordial but distant. He had asked if we could talk, maybe meet for coffee if I was ever in Austin. I told him maybe someday, but not yet. And I meant it. The door wasn't permanently closed, but it wasn't open either. It was cracked, allowing light and air, but not access. That felt right. Morgan visited me in Chicago for a long weekend. We toured museums, ate deep dish pizza, walked along the lakefront. On our last evening, we sat on my balcony watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. "You did it?" she said quietly. "Did what built a whole new life. On your own terms?" I smiled. "Yeah, I guess I did." And you know what the best part is? What I actually like this life? It's mine, really mine, not shaped by obligation or guilt or manipulation. Just mine? That's what winning looks like, she said. I raised my wine glass. To winning, she echoed. The truth is, my father did teach me something valuable in the end. He taught me that love without respect is worthless, that family without boundaries is toxic, that sacrifice without reciprocity is exploitation. He taught me that I have the right to protect myself, to say no, to walk away, to choose my own well-being over someone else's comfort. And most importantly, he taught me that revenge isn't about destruction. It's about refusing to be destroyed. The sweetest revenge was not ruining his vacation. It was building a life so full and so genuine that I didn't need him in it. It was succeeding despite his attempts to use me. It was thriving without his validation. It was being happy on my own terms. He had tried to steal from me my money, my trust, my sense of self-worth. But in the end, all he really did was free me. Free me from the obligation to maintain a relationship that had never been healthy. Free me from the guilt that had kept me tethered to someone who didn't value me. Free me to build something better, and I did. I built friendships based on mutual respect, a career that challenged and fulfilled me, a home that felt safe and welcoming, a life that was entirely my own. Sometimes people ask me if I regret what I did, if I wish I had handled things differently. The answer is no, not even a little bit, because that canceled vacation became the catalyst for everything good that came after. It forced me to finally see my father for who he really was, not who I wanted him to be, not who he pretended to be, but who he had always been. And in seeing that truth, I freed myself to stop trying to earn love from someone incapable of giving it. My father said no handouts. He was right about that, just not in the way he intended. I stopped giving him handouts of money, handouts of forgiveness without change, handouts of relationship without respect. And in stopping, I found something much more valuable than any family vacation could have provided. I found myself strong, independent, worthy, free, and that, it turns out, is the best destination of all.